welcome to Family Business World. My name is Dr. Dale Caldwell. I'm your host, and I have a wonderful entrepreneur here, Wendy Oliveras, the CEO of SHESS Global Alliance, LLC. Wendy, welcome.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Dale.
Well, thank you. We just met each other, a few months ago, but I've just been so impressed with all that you do, and you're a busy, busy person. So tell me a little bit about SHESS. What is that all about? How was it founded, and what do you do?
Well, I founded SHESS Global Alliance in November 2014, and basically I provide professional business consulting and training services for organizations in the corporate, nonprofit education, and government sectors. But more particularly, my truest passion also in consulting is the entrepreneur or the individual who's looking to start a business and has no clue what first steps to take. And that's where I come in and I provide them with the appropriate resources to get jump started and provide all of the invaluable SBA resources that are available to everyone in New Jersey. And
you're really doing, we're going to get more into your amazing work, but Wendy, I want to find out about you. So where were you born and where did you go to school? How did you get to this point?
Oh, wow. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and raised in Manhattan. I attended Norman Thomas High School and at 33rd Park Avenue.
Right.
And that was a wonderful experience because after school I was an honor student, and so I was able to get part-time jobs after school in law offices. And that launched my next career, which was patent paralegal.
Oh, really? Okay.
For 19 years. And I worked with some of the best intellectual property law firms in the world in Manhattan. And that experience and that knowledge that I garnered in 19 years, I segued that into my new career, which was a legal recruiter. And after recruiting attorneys in their job search here and abroad for 2 years, I decided to go forward and launch Oliveras and Company, Inc., which was a very successful legal staffing agency for 12 years. And then after the economic downturn in 2008, I had to make a reassessment of my life and my career. And I subsequently launched, being an avid chess player, I launched SHESS Global Alliance, which is one of my biggest pride and joys of my life.
Well, let's talk about chess. How did you get into chess? That's not usual.
Well, my father, exactly. Yeah. I mean, chess is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
In the manner of the way I think and approach problems. And it's something that my efforts to teach women in business, more particularly, how to play chess is very important to me. And so by learning chess, or the basic strategies in chess, they can transfer the invaluable rewards that's afforded to them into their real life experiences as well as their business development.
Interesting. The chess, I played and I was on the chess team in high school, but I wasn't
Yes.
great because I didn't work at it. But so really problem solving. What specific skills are you getting from the chessboard? Very interesting.
When you're playing chess, there are many, many analogies that are inherent in chess life and business. Mm-hmm. More particularly, the element of change that occurs on the chessboard.
Right.
You could have had your strategy in place. Your opponent just made a move that you did not anticipate.
Right.
What do you do then? It's the same concept in real life.
Right.
Whether it's in a personal relationship or if it's starting up your business. Who is your opponent in your marketplace?
Right.
Who's your competitors?
Right.
Right? And so when you face the element of change, you need to be able to learn how to re-strategize. Step back for a second and think, plan your next move, anticipate your opponent's next move, and then make that decision to make that next move. And so I have found personally that playing chess since I'm 14 years old, and I play chess for fun. I'm not a grandmaster, but I have to attest to the fact that it has changed my life, the way I think and approach problems. And I want to share that with women, because women who think about starting a business always have this sense of fear of the unknown. And that's been a common trend in my consulting practice, that women are just afraid to start a business. Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Do I have enough money? There's so many facets to starting a business. And so what I try to do in my consulting practice is start with the individual first. Not so much the idea, because we have to understand, what do you personally bring to the table? What is most valuable to you? Okay, so SHESS is a term that I coined, which is a play on two words, she for female and chess for the game. And that represents your game of life.
Yeah, love it, love it. And that's brilliant, because you're absolutely right. So I'm executive director of the Fairleigh Dickinson University Rothman Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So we work with entrepreneurs of all shapes, sizes, colors, genders. Yes. And it is interesting that so many women who are extraordinarily talented have doubts. And I see others who aren't necessarily as talented have no doubts. And so why is it? What do you think what is it about society that so often, and it's not every woman, some women have no problem doing this, but what do you think it is that makes some women reticent to go forward?
I would imagine that your upbringing has a lot to do with who you develop into an adult eventually, right? So if you were raised in a family environment that's nurturing and loving and warm and supportive, then yeah, there's a higher probability that you would probably succeed more in life as an adult, right? But if you grow up in an environment where there's constant criticism, and down talk, and you're an idiot, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, then yeah, these are things that we take into our lives subconsciously. We take it with us into our adulthood. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only reason why women fear the unknown. There's even fear of success. But I really think it boils down to who you are as a human being and what's important to you. How do you treat others? Do you have empathy and compassion for others? You know, when you start a business, you are everything. You wear all hats initially. Right. And how you behave with your customers, even with your family, represents the ultimate success of that business. Right. So when you care about yourself, you're most likely going to really care about your customers as well. So there's a lot of factors that play into insecurities, right? I think that being insecure, one of my workshops that I'm very proud of, I teach the women that are starting up businesses how to play the basics of chess. Right. But I also talk about the empowerment. The core issue is understanding yourself. Right. Accepting your good and bad, your faults, your insecurities, and then facing whatever it is that you need to face, that hurdle, so that you can move forward. You see, the pawn piece on the chess set never is allowed to move backwards. Right, right. And neither should a woman in business. Yep. You've made a decision, you've thought it out, so now you keep going forward. You don't go backwards. You don't renege on that decision. Right. You made a decision, you own up to it, you deal with the consequences, and you go forward. And you see it through. You see it through. You and I have talked about working together. As I mentioned, I wrote this book called Intelligent Influence, and really feeds into exactly what you're saying, that we're products of our influence. That when you're born, it's like an empty cup, and then influences are poured in, and some influences say, and I've had family members when I was younger, I was always an entrepreneur coming up with new ideas, and they would say, well, Dale, that sounds like a good idea, but if it was going to work, somebody else would have done it. You know, and a lot of people grow up in those environments that, well, you're going to be last, don't bother trying because somebody else is going to do it. Instead of those environments that say, hey, if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. Absolutely. Right? And that's really the way, that's what you and I operate under, but we've had influences in our lives that have helped us move forward. So now I love this framework. So if you're working, and I suspect you have a number of family business clients, so with SHESS, what kind of advice are you giving folks now who are coming out of this pandemic, who are trying to restart again? What advice would you give to our audience? I would say, to keep your customers informed and stay in touch. Communicate more with your family members who are part of the business, and ask for support from each other, because it's really important. There's so many challenges that are coming at us, left, right, center.
Right.
And a family business, they have a lot of issues. Many challenges, such as the pressure to hire family members, right? Misunderstanding the value of the business, not thinking outside of the box to be creative. Now, strategies for the COVID to mitigate, responsibility in this COVID-19 debacle that we all are facing,
right,
is to keep your customers informed and stay in touch. That's really important. Update your online presence. Let your customers know that you are still available and accessible to them by phone. We have so many different challenges. We can't see each other. The social distancing has changed everything. But you want to adjust your advertising.
Right.
Are you changing hours? If you're in a restaurant family business, what are you going to offer your clientele? And understand what your new client, you have to adjust to your client's new way of being as well.
Exactly.
Their fears.
Yep.
If you have a restaurant, they're not going to come in. You
Yep.
can't even open your business either. So there's so many factors involved. I think it boils down to communicate with your family members.
Right.
And don't be afraid to discuss what your fears are with each other. Be honest.
Well, and your point is great, because I know every problem that I've ever worked with, the root cause of it is a communication problem. There's poor communication. You could be losing money, you could be doing it. So you're absolutely right, that whole idea. And what I find is with a lot of families, and especially the older the family, that communication seems to break down between some family members. And so have you worked with any family members to kind of bring back communication, or coworkers?
Yes, absolutely. There's one particular family that they own a restaurant in New York and New Jersey. And, the initial owners are the older parents.
Right.
So they're set in their ways. Their mindset is already in place.
Right.
And so now you have the next generation that, they have these great creative ideas, but the parents hold them back.
Right.
And so what I try to do with them is I try to mitigate, and help them to understand that, look, you got to talk to each other. You have to understand what the barriers and the boundaries are.
Right.
Because these boundaries, they're tying your hands. You have to think outside of the box and take chances. The older generation is afraid to take chances. They're set in their ways.
Right.
And so how do you come to a happy medium? And it's based on communication.
Based on communication, absolutely.
That's key.
Yeah. It really is. So, one of the things I want to talk about, you do a lot with the community. You do a lot in the community and helping people. You want to say something about some of the things that you're working on there?
Yes. I work with one of my clients, Educate the Block Foundation in Jersey City, and they have me as director of reentry program.
Oh, really?
At the Hudson County Corrections and Rehabilitation Center in Kearney.
So Wendy, we're going to take a quick break, but I want to pick it up right there, because that's a fascinating position. But thank you. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Wendy Oliveras.
Thank you.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Hello, I'm Dr. Dale Caldwell, host of Family Business World. If you are just joining us, we have Wendy Oliveras, the CEO of SHESS Global Alliance. So Wendy, you were telling about, I'm just so impressed with your community service. So tell me about this program again with Hudson County. What are you doing?
Well, I am Director of Reentry with, on behalf of the Educate the Block Foundation in Jersey City. And for 3 years, I have been teaching inmates life skills. And I teach them about budgeting, self-empowerment, and how to start a business.
Wonderful, wonderful.
A lot of them have very creative ideas, and so I like to bring that out into our lessons. More particularly, one of the things that has been fascinating for me these past 3 years is how prior to teaching inmates, I was afraid to do that, right? For obvious reasons. You're afraid of getting harmed or something.
Right.
But once I passed that fear, and I took the plunge, and I said, I'm going to go for it because I know I have good information for these, my students or my client students, right? I developed a method of teaching through chess with these inmates.
Oh, wonderful.
These inmates are very intelligent and very capable. And I have managed to talk to them and reach them through chess, believe it or not.
Wow.
Playing games, talking about life challenges, highlighting all of the analogies that are so important and so obvious in chess, life, and business.
Right.
And I'm doing good work.
Yeah.
And I'm really, I have seen many successful stories when they come out and they've empowered themselves and they're ready to work. A lot of them are very capable and intelligent.
So Wendy, so you start working with them how many months before they're about to be released, or what's the timing of it?
4 months.
So 4 months before they're about to be released.
Anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Depends on the program that they're in or what resources they will be tapping into once they're released into the community. But then I also teach the community-based clients that have the bracelets. They're in the bracelet program.
Right.
And they're in social services. They're living in halfway houses throughout Jersey City or Newark. And, so there's a morning program and then there's an afternoon program with the inmates.
Wonderful. And so one of the reasons I love working with family businesses, first of all, they're 80% of the global marketplace. 2, family businesses treat employees better than any other institution out there. Better than government, better than big business, better. And if you're in the family, if you do a good job for a family business, you become a family member. I know family businesses that will pay for funeral costs of parents when they don't do that. And so one of the things that I see family businesses hiring people who other businesses might not want. From the community, from poverty, people coming out of prison. And so I think kind of connecting, because many of those folks had a bad influence and went down the wrong road, and they're not evil people, they just happen to have a bad circumstance, but they're often so very talented, but traditional businesses overlook them. So it's an opportunity for businesses to hire some high quality people and really accelerate their business. And that's really what you're using your system to help them. So I think that's important.
I mean, and it helps to reduce the recidivism that it's constant in all of our communities throughout the United States.
Exactly, and it's so important for society because it's all about a job, and that's one of the things I've learned, that if people have a job that pays their bills, then that changes life. It improves schools, it improves communities, it reduces crime, it does everything. So I want to shift gears a little bit. You're an author as well. I know you have your first book, another one's coming out. So what was your first book?
My first book was Let's Play Chess.
Excellent.
Succeed in your game of life
Okay.
and business by playing chess.
Put it over a little bit over your face here, so we can see it, so everybody can see it. Perfect. Yeah, let's play chess.
Is that better?
Okay, is that on Amazon? Can you get it on Amazon?
Yes, it is on
Barnes and-
Amazon
excellent.
and Barnes and Noble online.
Perfect.
Anywhere
There you-
online.
And
Anyhow, but I published this, self-published in 2012.
okay.
And this was my first attempt to introduce to women, it was dedicated to women, but mostly to empower the women to think about learning to play chess and why playing chess would even be important to them.
Yeah.
And it really boils down to two things. It helps you to face problems with more logical clarity,
Right.
to not fear an opponent in life or in business.
Right.
And that was the first introduction. And then, 8 years later, I'm hoping to launch my second book, which is Checkmate Startup.
Nice.
It's
Okay, good.
specific to starting up a business, top 10 mistakes to avoid in business for the woman entrepreneur. A guideline, especially if you want to start a business in New Jersey, the 3 steps.
Right.
Forming the business, obtaining the employer identification number, registering the business for state tax purposes. And then once you've legalized the business, what do you do next? Right? So you have to open up a checking account. Anyhow, there are many, many tips and guidelines for the woman entrepreneur to consider starting the business. And I help her to think about if this is a product or a service, am I also considering, am I solving a problem in my community?
Right.
So to me, my consulting practice is the foundation is chess.
Yeah.
And that follows me everywhere I go.
Everything.
I'm actually known as the chess lady.
That's
But,
the chess lady. I love it.
right. Now, after Checkmate Startup is launched, hopefully by Christmas this year, next year is Checkmate for the Inmate. And that's
okay.
that book is really a personal, very personal feeling about how I feel about addictions in my community and, people who go to jail.
Yep.
Who are incarcerated and the value that they do and can bring to our community.
Yeah.
But we just have to expose them. We have to help them. And so that's what I'm, working on as well.
Wonderful. That's.
Thank you.
So we're at a time now where there's record unemployment. Many people may not get the same job they had. So
Yes.
for many, entrepreneurship is their best option to start a business. So if you're out there watching this and you're coming
Yes.
and they want to hear Wendy, what should I do if I'm sitting at home? I have an entrepreneurial spirit. I have a couple ideas. What should I do? What are the steps I should go through to kind of start my own business?
Well, first of all, you would need to believe in yourself. And you have to identify if this is a product or a service, right? Then you have to consider the legal status that you would want to open or form the business in. There's the typical sole proprietorship, for example. I don't recommend it because you would be 100% liable
Right.
for anything that occurs, any liability. So that's not something that I would recommend. I would recommend, however, if you want an online business, for example, to form an LLC, limited liability corporation.
Right.
This way, you get sued, the business gets sued, not you personally. Right? And so once you've done that, you've decided, let's say you want to form the LLC, what's the next step? Well, now you go online, go on the SBA.gov website, and you click the link that says start a business. And the first thing you're going to do is form it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And you form it, but then you pay the $128.50. That's your initial investment
Right.
to legalize the business as an LLC in New Jersey.
Right.
Now, the next step is to obtain your employer identification number.
Right.
And I want you to consider that number as a synonymous to a social security number, but for the business.
For the business, yeah.
And then the third step is to register the business for state tax purposes.
Right.
Right? And then you open up a business checking account. The other thing you need to consider is legal protection. Now, protection can come in different forms. There's professional liability insurance, or otherwise known as E&O,
Okay.
right? Errors and omissions insurance. And then there's general liability insurance. So depending on the type of business you have will determine what insurance you need.
Right, right.
But then I just want to mention
Yeah.
something very important, which is a personal specialty of mine, is intellectual property protection.
Okay.
Are you an inventor starting a business? Do you have a patent idea? Is it a design? Is it something that you want to sell, right? Or is it a trademark? Are you protecting the company name and the logo?
Right.
Now, federal law doesn't mandate that you have intellectual property protection. It's an option to you to have a recourse in a court of law if someone has copied your idea.
Right.
Who registered for that patent first? Or who filed for trademark protection first?
Right.
So there's many things to consider in a string of challenges to start up a business. But once you have a solid foundation, then the rest is, now we have to market the business.
Right.
You have to advertise the business accordingly. Have a business plan.
So let me ask you, before we get to the business plan and stuff, so I want to stay on the patent stuff. So if I have a product and I want to patent it, what do you recommend? Do I see an attorney? Do you help them with the patent, or how does it work?
Well, what I do is I can put them in contact with one of my affiliated intellectual property attorneys.
Right. Okay.
On my team.
Okay.
Because I have an IP team that I work closely with.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
And Rutgers Law Center also has an invaluable intellectual property department.
Okay.
They can also tap into that resource.
Is that free, or is there a cost for that?
Well, it's free to get a consultation, but
Right.
I believe the attorney fees would be more cost effective versus
Right.
a
regular
bigger
attorney,
law
yeah.
firm, let's say.
Yeah, yeah. And so
Because it's
the business
community-based.
plan. So talk a little bit about, okay, so I have a business, I have an idea, I have an idea of the market.
Yes.
What do you advise for people to develop a business plan?
Well, the business plan, the SBA, the Small Business Development Center at Rutgers Newark, which is another client of mine. I've been with them 5 years. And we offer a smart business plan writing workshop,
Okay.
which is great. It's a
Oh, really?
20-hour workshop, but it's great. And, your business plan, most people fear it, right? Because there's financial projections that you have to, comprise. You have to put them together. You have to have a day-to-day, an idea of an executive summary, day-to-day operations. Who's doing what, where, how, and why? And the marketing aspect of the business plan is critical.
Right,
Who's your target
right.
audience?
Right.
Right? What are the demographics in the
Right.
business? So the business plan has two functions, really. One is a roadmap for
Right.
yourself that's adaptable over time.
Right.
And it's also a tool that can be used for SBA lending.
Right, right, and that's an essential part of it. So Wendy,
Yes.
unfortunately, these things go so quickly. We're at the end of time. You've
Okay.
provided some amazing information. So, any final word before we close?
I just want to say to anyone who's thinking about starting a business, this is actually a very good time to start strategizing and planning to launch a business in 2020.
What's your website?
Because-
What's your website? Wendy?
my website is SHESSglobal.com.
Okay.
That's SHESS Global.com.
Perfect.
And my direct phone number is 201-344-1099.
Well, Wendy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody for watching Family Business World. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.